All right, so here's the thing, Tiwa. I haven't named this podcast yet. Okay, so there's no name, so I can't say, yo, welcome to another edition of, so we're just going to start talking. All right. Okay. So unprofessional. But thank y'all for tuning in. Yeah, we're recording now. Yeah, so it's unprofessional. I got no real intro. But thank y'all for watching. I have an Atlanta legend here, somebody who really, really is not only in Atlanta, but you do business all over the world, right?
Yeah, international.
But his name really, really rings bells out here for what he's been able to continue to do year after year for the last 14 years with Atlantic Creek Picnic, right?
Yeah.
So 14. You started it?
Yes, started in
you started it,
2004, yep, came up with the concept.
So what was that like? Where were you at when you came up with that?
So in 2004, I just graduated college, and I pledged Kappa in 2000, so I was over special events for the frat, doing all kinds of parties, homecoming, step show, community service projects. I was literally I started the ideas and brainchild and storming my chapter. And right before we graduated, my line brother, Dave Farley, and I came up with an entertainment company in college called For Show Entertainment. Mm-hmm. You know, and For Show Entertainment, literally, we ran a little city of Americus, Georgia, down south, probably about 3 hours, close to Albany, Fort Valley.
And what college you go to?
I went to Georgia Southwestern.
Okay, Southwestern.
Yeah, it's very this small, like it's really tiny. But you know, coming from a big mega city, born in England, lived in Nigeria, and then coming to Atlanta, but getting Charlotte all the way down to Americus, Georgia was a great experience because that's where a lot of these great ideas and things started building. And we moved from just throwing these little dorm parties to taking over and structuring deals in the club, and blew it out of the water. I mean, you're talking about, when you're in college, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do in life. But to me, ultimately was about, everything boils down to your income. What's your paycheck? No matter what profession you're doing, like what are you getting paid for, your monthly or your weekly paycheck? And to me, I think the first party I did, and I made $800, I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty good,
Oh yeah, in college, $800.
$800 for having fun.
Good.
3 hours of work. I've been talking about partying and drinking alcohol. I had a blast. And then when homecoming came around, he and I, we just took it to another level. We ran. I mean, people were doing radio ads. I'm like, I don't want to do what everyone is doing. Let's look into something different. And then we went to On Media, which is a local TV network that handles all digital, TV sales ads. And we spoke to Carla Morris. I would never forget her. Went to her office and asked her, hey, how much is for a TV ad on BET? Because 106 in Park was really big at that time. Everybody used to leave the cafeteria, run back to the dorms to watch 106 in Park. And she said, oh, it's $3 a slot. I said, so $3 we air, said 30 seconds of commercial. So I looked at him and he was like, he was skeptical.
$3?
He was skeptical. He was like, I don't know, it might be too expensive. So she said $3. So is there a minimum? She says no. So I looked at him and said, we need to go talk to the club.
Right.
And put together a budget, and we spent, we got a budget of $600. So we literally flooded TV with a commercial from the next party we did. We cut a commercial, put it together, aired it on TV, and in people's mind, in America, Little Americus, Georgia, they thought the whole country was watching them on 106 in Park, but not realizing it was really regional. Which was still really about 500,000 plus people watching, this. So the next party we did was just insane. And by the time we did homecoming, we ran some ads again, and that was when we hit like 4 figures. I made 8,000, he made 8,000, the club made money. I mean, we literally took an Atlanta style of partying, because I used to come back home for, when there's the fall break or whatever, and I'll go out to the club. I used to go out to, Old Buckhead, Club Cream, and Esso's, and see them run in the door. I didn't just go out to party just to party. I was watching how they were running this door system, and realized that there was a big opportunity to make more money, upsell. So we were out there, they had a little local dope boys. We did a VIP line. They're spending $40, $60 to come into the club, where typically $5 is what gets you in. We were taking out at least $60 from them, and we made $8,000 a piece. So mentally, I just started thinking like, wow, this is a huge opportunity, because everybody loves to party. I mean, you won't get 8,000 every week because it's not homecoming. However, you can have a consistent income from hosting these nice events. And we did that. Once we graduated, I came back to Atlanta, started throwing events at like Chaos and Old Bucket, different parties, Perfect Fridays at Django, as well as Underground at House Nightclub. So we started just continuously doing it till the point where one summer, some friends of mine, they had, there was a picnic going on, or a family reunion going on at some park of Cascade, and it was, you know, it was cool. But a lot of my friends, AKs and some older Deltas said, Tiwa, you need to come and put your mind together. I know you can do it, fix something and do something so we can have a nice summer event for Greeks to go to. And, you know, by then, you know, obviously I mentioned when I pledged Kappa, I actually went to Kappa Luau in Tallahassee, which was the biggest Greek event I know of. And I went there in 01 and 02.
Is that still going on?
No, it's not. It's not happening anymore.
You killed them.
No, it's actually, so this is a good story from that leads to a Greek picnic. Kappa Luau was doing, I mean, huge numbers. You're talking about almost 20,000 plus. You know, but I mean, I remember seeing like Jerome Bettis was there, all these football players. Obviously, Slip and Slide was big. Young Dro had just dropped his first single. He was out there. Budweiser had put up a truck for free beer. That's just how big their branding and marketing was. They had this big ranch in Tallahassee. And when I saw that, it's, you know, it's forever stuck in my mind. I took tons of pictures and videos, not realizing that it will come back 4 years later to be the foundation of what I need to do, called the Atlantic Greek Picnic. And the Atlantic Greek Picnic, I chose Maurice Brown College because when I used to come back home for like a fall break, I would hang out with the Kappas at Maurice Brown College before the school went down. So I was very aware of the campus, and in fact, our whole initiation when I pledged Kappa was at Maurice Brown. So everything was go back to Maurice Brown. Right. And so we hosted the first Greek picnic at 2004 June. And we had probably about 300 people that showed up. So for me, that wasn't bad because, you know, doing events where you're doing 1,000 plus people, 300 wasn't bad. And I just knew that to stay consistent. And then, you know, social media obviously was non-existent at that point. It was Black Planet.
They had Facebook though.
In 04, not 04.
Yeah, yes they did. Where it was
on campus.
Yeah, strictly college.
So
Facebook, yeah.
Because I just graduated, I wasn't a part of that network. So it wasn't until going into 2007, 2008 when Facebook started growing to other. I remember when they allowed other universities, you could upload and ask requests for your campus to have a presence. Yep. And the same friend who told me about doing the Greek picnic, I should come up with something. She gave me her Kennesaw State email address so I could have an account. Right. So I used that and I created, you know, obviously I said I need to create a community, created the Greek picnic community on Facebook and just started building. And that's when now we just started. I just realized, especially my promotional background is to document, collect data, email. I still have emails or phone numbers from 04, just to build that database. And, you know, one thing obviously I learned marketing in Americas was that the email database was very important, and we used to use the Yahoo groups. So you get once a week updates on what's happening, you see yourself in pictures, and then you get ready for the next event. And then text messaging, because text message, no matter what, you're going to read it. You're going to open it, see what it is, even if before you delete it, the first 2 lines you're going to read. So our text messaging game was just insane. We use a great company. We've been with them since day one, for 14 years. Wow. You know, so we just kept building to the point where year after year, you know, Greek Picnic, 05, 06, and then by the time really for me, social media impact was big from 07, 08, because we saw, by the time we now started having it on Facebook and, you know, creating invites, we saw a jump from, you know, first year about 300, 500, 800, then it jumped to like almost 2,000, you know, and when
So what was that thing that took you from 8 to 2,000?
It was more, also just paying attention to trends. I think the biggest thing was just with being on social media, you just have to listen to the conversations. Who's coming in town early? As you know, again, Greek Picnic was one day. This was just a Saturday event. So I just started noticing people were like, oh, I've taken off work. I'm coming in on Thursday night. I'm like, you're coming on Thursday? Like, so where are you staying? Then I just started seeing pockets of people, just a couple of hundreds of people here, and there. Then I realized, oh, wow, we need to start really getting to like organizing this week and planning things like, okay, if you're coming in town that early, let's work out a deal for hotel rooms. Let's work out a deal for some car rentals. Let's work out some travel incentives for you to stay at certain places that we can negotiate these rates and have even kickbacks come back to us. So we were able to negotiate that and start building relationships with hotels around the city. And for people to have that convenience of realizing that if you book through us, you could probably get your room at $79 instead of going direct and paying $120. And then everybody, the guys want to meet the girls want to meet the guys.
Right.
Everybody's the same hotel, and it just started growing. Then the next year, it's like, hey, official host hotel is boom, boom, boom. And then I remember, I think it was like 2012, then we had like 6 hotels in the city.
Wow.
And by then we're talking about we're doing well up to 15,000 plus people are coming. Like all hotels in the city are selling out. Convention bureaus calling, land and picking calling, the impact was there, and then we just really started paying more attention with just what was happening in the city and just being more organized, because I'd learned why certain events like the Philly Greek back in the day didn't survive, why Freaknik didn't survive, and why.
But I thought Freaknik was like, it was more of a kind of like a political thing, like, yo, we don't need all that in our city.
So yes and no. Freaknik could have gone on continuously, but it was never controlled. When you can't control your audience, or your audience, and you have them going here and here, and they're just everywhere, they just cut, you off at the source. They cut the head off and everything else, and just keep chopping you all the way down. And I think with Freaknik going into, I think when I moved to the States was 96. So I caught the last. I was so young. I caught the last end of it. And from what I saw, and just hearing the stories and even researching it.
Foolishness.
Yes, it was. What I saw at my young age, I was like, this is Freaknik? Oh my. And I was coming from England, so I'd never seen anything like it. It was insane. When they say Freaknik, they were freaking, I saw everything. I saw everything. But, I again, what I think the biggest piece of understanding this business is, you have to learn the mistakes of other people before you. And from Philly Greek, again, they weren't organized, and then you start having where, because it is a college-educated market and very high-end professionals, you have that when they're coming together, and you have like the locals in another area of town, when they mix, it's not saying that it's bad, but you have to be able to have some kind of distinguishing factor, because you sometimes have gang members who are Bloods and Crips or whatnot that think Kappas and Sigmas are, rivals, and they're throwing up gang signs, and they don't understand it, and it becomes an issue. And I think one of the biggest things we started off early was just really putting down a precedence where you had to show that you're a member of a fraternity or sorority, and there were privileges if you were into coming to the event. And it worked out for us, and controlling it from day one, our relationship with the city and the police force, and just really having a big security presence. So even until today, once you walk onto the picnic grounds, you're going to see police. There's not going to be any foolishness. There's nobody talking about, oh man, yeah, I got a problem, I'm going to get my gun. It's not happening.
Right.
Everybody gets patted down. You're going to get searched. And, thank God for us, we've not had any violence of anything extreme happen. Yeah. No shooting, nobody getting killed. Everybody goes home back safe. So it's been a great experience just learning, hands-on on how to keep building this brand and what we're going to continue to do. Next year's our 15th year. How we're going to continue to, and the great thing about it is that, we've gone through a couple of generations, like almost 2-3 different generations of Greeks, because most people give us about a good 5-year, turnaround lifespan. I always say the first group would give us 5 years. They'll bring in a bunch of members. They'll give us another 5 years. Now we're going into our third term. And so far it's been good. Like people, now it's, when I talk to people who are freshly out of college, they're 23, 24, asking them questions about Greek picnic, and they say, man, you have to come. This is, like the Greek homecoming. Everybody goes to Greek picnic. And that alludes to what their previous profiles and people older than them have set the tone. And then again, what you see on social media has just done wonders for us.
That's crazy. So let me ask you, because it's a big production, and it's like a whole week.
Yeah,
right?
It's
starting when?
Monday to Sunday.
Monday to Sunday. So let me ask you, what does it cost you to put on an Atlanta Greek picnic? Because this ain't cheap,
no,
right?
It's not cheap. It's high end. It's It's high. It's 6 figures.
So it costs, like, you have to invest every year 6 figures
Yeah.
into making this thing run.
It's expensive. I can tell you off the top of my head, our venues alone, it's 50 grand minimum for venues. And the thing about, and I'm not really ashamed to disclose such numbers because we like to let, the thing about events, especially as a person who likes to go to nice events, is you don't want a raggedy venue.
Yeah.
You don't want to come from out of town and they put you in a hole in the wall because the promoter wants to maximize his dollar. No, we've got a great relationship with people like Compound. We've done business with Alex and his team for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. Just because they have such a beautiful venue, and each year when they change, people come back and you have a great time. You see the guys dressing up in suits and blazers and women in dresses because we want that atmosphere. We don't want we don't want to give out just a hooded out event. If that's your thing, hey, that's fine. But Atlantic Greek Picnic has a brand and image to maintain. Yeah. We are more on professional, upscale, and classy side of things. That's what we want to convey.
Say you invest obviously 6 figures now.
Yes.
Right, but that first one,
no,
you wasn't putting on the 6 figures.
Hell no.
So what was the investment back then?
It was next to nothing outside of a website and just some flyers and marketing and and sweat equity. Yeah. It was the investment was very, very little, and then paying some staff to work the parties at the door. And then again, as the structure was going, you have to invest into the business. Yeah. It's you're going to get the return, especially when people are coming. For instance, now I know how much we pay for barricades and fencing just to control the crowd, because we do have a street permit to close the streets off. So if you don't have the fencing and barricades, if the the police supervisor that is driving around sees it's mayor, guess what? He's gonna shut it down. Yeah. It's a hazard. So it's just being very thorough what you're planning and what you're doing with these kind of festivals. And I'm sure anybody can see, whether it's from Coachella to Made in America, the organization of people, the inflow and outflow of people, you've got to plan every detail. From going to the restrooms, from going to see vendors, going to the stage. You want to relax and chill. You want to buy tickets. You want to use the phone. You have to think of all that. Yeah, and I think it's just so fly to, even for the audience that's listening, to say, yo, I started out with an idea, a website, and some flyers, and now people say, yo, you invested 6 figures, but I mean, it's almost like if you invest $1,000 one year and you want to take it up a notch and invest $5,000, it's not a big jump, right? No.
But if you go on to 5 to 10, then 10 to 20, then 10, you know what I'm saying, like
exactly.
that.
You have to. I mean, it's for any business. I have got a lot of new businesses that I'm working on now. It's literally the same thing. I mean, we're not dropping in like, okay, here the budget's going to be $100,000. We're going to put it in. Yeah. No, it doesn't mean it's going to jump the first year. You have to steadily grow it where you're growing the base, the market, and you have your products. And as it grows, then you know exactly where to keep injecting the funds. Because you're seeing the return come back. You take a percentage back, you put it back in. It's just general business. So that's an amazing skill. Actually, just getting butts in seats, right? That is the problem with every single business. Of course. Do you feel like you have a model where you can open a restaurant, you can open a club, you can open a lounge, you can open something and drive the traffic because you have a formula? Yes. What? I mean, it's to the point we've thought of our own, not necessarily like having a club, but the idea has crossed our mind. We've thought of restaurants, we've thought of products. We've done work with a lot of corporations such as like State Farm, Miller Coors, all of us, and a lot of different companies, 5 Hour Energy, because we can drive traffic. Mm-hmm. We can drive sales, we can drive activations, we can drive these things. And that's very important. But, the biggest thing I think, again, learning is really what's the underlying source of this is how to control your audience, how to get them to understand what you're doing, how to get them to engage, how to get them to activate on anything that you're doing. Mm. Even for us, the Greek Picnic is one of many things that we're doing with them. We want to build out more branches of our Greek Picnic network. We want to build out more on, I'm very big on business and person, but I mean, business and person development. Mm. So there's still the aspect of, because the Greek Picnic is one weekend out of 52. Yeah. So what else are we doing throughout the year? We do some community service projects, but I want to be able to, because I know there's a lot of people who, because a lot of people don't know I'm behind the Greek Picnic. Mm. So I can just casually just flow through the event. Right. But that's why I wanted to do this interview, because I'm like, and I had to stress in the beginning, you started this. Yeah, most people don't know. Yeah, and because I'm not in it for fame. I'm not in it to be like, oh, look at me. I'm the one. It's it's by chance sometimes people find out, they research and they find out. And I've realized a lot of the questions they ask is they want to know more about how did I get started, how can I launch my idea, how can I do, even if it's not the same business, how can I get in a position to put something together and how do I scale it? You know, because I think the thing that catches a lot of them off guard is when they realize I never worked corporate. From college, I already started in college. So even now, a lot of people in college are between social media. I tell them, while you're in school, you're a freshman, start now. Because this is the most, you don't have real life problems.
Right.
You don't have issues or you got to pay your mortgage or your rent or Comcast and your T-Mobile bill is due. No, so it's good to find like your business partners or your ideas, and you've got the confidence, and then you've got the base. Your exact consumer base is in college with you. Yeah. So why not test it there? And you know, and then there's a lot of resources to help you, because by the time you graduate, become an adult, like you're facing, like you don't have time to do stuff that may make money.
Yeah.
You have to. So now you have to make a decision between, you know, going to work going to work and earning money, or trying to focus on something that may make money. Yeah. So the quicker you can start in college to find something that, even if it generates $50, it's a win, because you can scale it up to make more. Right. And I think, you know, a lot of, contrary to what other people think, I think a lot of people these days have it easier than most of us did without the social media. Because now with social media, you can build a following, put a product, put the link, sell, and you're good. Yeah. But before, I remember in the promoter network in Atlanta, they say from Wednesday through, if your event is on Friday or Saturday, if you're not out Tuesday through Thursday, you're not going to eat on Friday, because you got to put flyers in people's hands. Yeah. You got to, hey, come out to this on Friday. If rain or shine, you have to be out.
Do you still do that? I mean, obviously not you, but, or maybe you, I don't know.
Well, it depends. We don't do it like that anymore, because we've centralized our base to online, and we engage them year round, so they're always actively aware. But we still do print flyers. We still have a situation where events we go to, we still physically touch people, because I just feel like it's a stone that we have to turn over. We just kind of assume. I never treat Greek picking like, oh, it's year number 14. Everybody's going to show up like no, I treat it like it's number 1, just because I don't want a year that I'm so comfortable that, oh, everybody's going to show up again and nobody comes, because that's a reality check I don't want. Yeah. So I make sure every time we're doing Greek picnic, we go, I don't even go through our manual. I mean, we have a handbook of what to do every day and how to plan stuff, but I literally sit back down and then we write it out so we don't forget anything. What are we missing? What are we doing? Printing, this, that, videos, who's the photographer, who's doing this, who's doing live stream. So it comes back to place together, because if you get comfortable, you're going to get hit one time so hard, like it shuts you down.
Right. And you were telling me that you're not the only Greek picnic in the country, right? So, and I thought it was so cool, because you said you know all those guys, and you know they hit you up and say, yo, how can I do it? And you don't keep the information to yourself,
no,
right? So
I don't.
What is the relationship with those people? But obviously, I know you were thinking like, mine's is pretty much the biggest. Why can't I take over these other ones? Or not take over, but at least partner.
Yeah, I think like earlier before we started this podcast interview, we were talking about proclaiming yourself with an identity, where like we were having a conversation with our friend and said, I'm the number 1 fashion person in Atlanta. And we did that early, where we were like the biggest and best Greek picnic in America, period. And that's how we promote ourselves in our captions, in our emails, in our tweets. So it sets the tone. I mean, and like I said, if somebody challenges, say, who else is? Like, show us who's bigger than us. Right. There's nobody. And then what you realize is people start going out with that mentality, like this is the biggest, this is the best. So the expectation level is set, it's high. You know, and so with the other Greek picnics, like I said, we know pretty much everybody around town, around the country. We have some really strong relationships with a lot of them. And again, for us I just believe any information I'm sharing, I'm not sharing it like our nuclear codes. It's not anything that's going to take us out, because you still have to go out and activate these ideas or the formula. It's not that, okay, Tiwa said this, and that, and if I do it like he said, it's exactly going to be, it's different, because the people you're dealing with in your town, you need to understand their their ways and the way they react to you and the way they interact. And it's not the same as those who come to Atlanta, because we're dealing with not just local Atlantan people, we're dealing with people from all over the country and from other countries. So the mindset for us is different than for them. But, you know, again, we don't give out like our core secrets. Like, I mean, core secret is have fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
It's the core. That's the core thing. Have fun. You know, don't stress over it. Whatever happens, happens. But make sure it's service based as well. Make sure you're introduce yourself to people. You take care of it. You know, it's not perfect, but you have some issues. Handle it and be respectful. And I think everything just flows in place.
But you have a secret sauce, though.
A little bit.
You got a little secret sauce.
You got some yum sauce on the side.
So with it being so big, like, do you see, like, what is bigger? You already take over the whole city. You got a whole week. People are coming from all around the world. Like, how do you get, what do you see bigger? Like, get Jay-Z to perform?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that has crossed my mind. Like, a Jay-Z, a Beyonce, and we have the population to do it, you know, and it's like Greek life intersects every part of general life. Our mayor is Greek. Former mayor was Greek. You know, council members and community leaders, people are in Greek organizations. So I think it just continues to resonate because Greek life is been around for 100 plus years. And this is a big event because it brings all Divine Nine Greeks together to one place at one time. And then we start trying to make sure we are fulfilling, outside of having a good time, you get here to be part of our networking events, our community service projects, and also, you know, the donations that we make. So the impact is there. And I look at like a Steve Harvey, who's been in the business for a very long time. Like, people don't realize Steve Harvey is also like an event planner. He has his own neighborhood awards, which brings hundreds of thousands of people, and his impact is huge. He's selling out hotels across the entire city. So if I'm seeing that, I'm like, we can get to that kind of level. We can get to 100,000 plus. We can get to such big numbers that we're doing, and we can invite anybody to be. We can invite President Obama to be a keynote speaker. You know, we can do a concert at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Beyonce or Jay-Z or whoever we want to. You know, because it boils down to continue to activate in your crowd, the money you're making and reinvesting, and what your community impact is. So we're still, you know, regardless of, like, even like Sweet Auburn Festival has been around for almost 30 years. And they're huge, and they're just 2 days. I think they do 2 weekends in a year, but they're huge. So I never feel, that's why I keep telling myself that even though we're going to year number 15, we're not, like, this is not the end of it. Like, it's just the beginning. So in my mind, really, we're at year number 4. Because the first 10 years was really to just, we're here and we have shown longevity, like we're not going anywhere. So our next thing is, how can we do more outside of like the coming down here having parties? So like, what's happening, like I said, the other 51 weeks out of the year? We need to do more of our community business and personal development. You know, I want to do more of our speaking series on educating our people and our audience about how to, either from raising money, how you brand, how do you build your impact, how do you build your products, how do you become self-sustainable, because a lot of people don't want to work corporate. You know, they want to leave corporate. So, and a lot of them either don't have the money to pay $1,500, $2,500 to the bigger guys who do those things to give you the tools. We can do that to you for a fraction and really give you up-to-date, like, and then just relatable, because you know us. You've seen us, and we're not somebody who's 60, 70 years old, I've done this for 40 years. No, like, you see us like, you know, mates or whatnot. So
so you're going to get into the teaching aspect of like teaching people how to do this?
Yes, well, just for business. So it's just the general foundation of yourself as a brand and as a business. Then from there you can, because a lot of people have ideas where, oh, I want to start fashion, or and fashion is always big because people are no longer going to the malls and buying the polos and Tommy Hilfigers. They're making themselves their own fashion brand. So just a lot of those kind of ideas and things to just keep building people out. I know we get approached by tons of people who do apps. So to me, that lets me know like people are actively looking to market such products into our audience. You know, so we had Yik Yak one year come and sponsor. We've had Brainstorm this year. We've had 5 Hour Energy. We've had City Gear. We've had all these big companies that are coming forward that want to touch this audience, and they're coming in with budgets. So it's also, how do you get your small companies that can now interact, and they have to understand the psychological aspect of how do you draw these companies to write you a check?
Right.
How do you become not just a business, but also a marketing tool to help them fill out their objective?
And you understand it. So,
Yes.
so for a small company that's saying, yo, I need sponsorship for, a really good idea. I got a movement. I'm putting the groundwork.
Right.
You're saying, I can show you how to get corporate sponsorship. I can show you how to build these relationships.
We can show you how to get to the level where you're talking to, and then you can walk in and close the deal yourself.
Nice.
Yeah, because we only just started really truly getting sponsorship the last 3 years, and from talking, we've had conversations with marketing managers to directors of sponsorship and the head the marketing director of the company, understanding why sometimes, like in the early 2000s, people were cutting $50,000 checks like it was nothing. Companies like Kovaci, Hennessy were writing checks and doing sponsoring an entire open bar. But now they want to see an ROI on their investment. They want to see you're spending. If I'm spending $25,000, I need to be able to maintain a database of people that will continuously buy my product. That's pretty much what they want from you. Is they want a piece of your market they can take in and continue to sell in, so they get 10x what they invest in you.
Gotcha.
So once you start understanding these things, you're able to approach them differently and give realistic numbers. Because if you're telling a company you're worth a $25,000 sponsorship, in their mind they're like, I need to get enough customers that will give me sales of $250K.
Gotcha.
Or
so
even,
it's not about a good idea.
No,
they need to see the numbers.
They don't care like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, and we can put. They don't even want their logos and stuff. Logos are cool, but they want to see the ROI. Every company wants to know that I can touch your audience who's going to come back to my online store or physically come in and buy a product from me and order consistently.
Right.
Then it makes sense. Even like a Coke and them, sometimes they're doing it because they want to stay ahead of their competitors.
Right.
So sometimes for them it's no longer about just putting their logo and Sprite sponsor. They want to be able to, like, they touched how many people, like Sprite is really gearing towards an African American demographic. So if you say 5,000 people drank Sprite, at least 2 bottles, 10,000 bottles, okay, that's in their mind. They've given out $1,000, they can give you a $5,000 sponsorship. So it was 50 cents per drink to make sure everybody had it, and then social media imprint.
All right.
So these are things we've learned over the years on just how to kind of hone down on value to give to clients, when you're working on these kind of events. Because outside of that, the days of, my homeboy works for Hennessy and he can cut, he's got to report to somebody and show the numbers.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not getting those checks.
Right. So social media, impressions, likes, shares, all that stuff matters.
Makes I remember a time when we got the State Farm sponsorship, and I literally had to sit down there. I was walked in, said, "Here you go. Here's the media you've been wanting." And sat there and spoke to him, and he was way up north, near Alpharetta. We sat down, we talked, and he literally had no clue about what the Greek picnic or the Greek market is. So I had to break it down from day one to that year and explain to him why we are a value added to the company. And especially the aspect I already knew because I did my research. State Farm just doesn't only want to they love selling their insurance and their products and all these things, but they also want to recruit people as agents so they can have their stores all over the country. And if you notice, there's 2 big State Farm offices right here on 285 in Dunwoody, 2 huge buildings. So they need to continue to hire agents that become in the community that's selling all their services and life insurance and insurance and whatnot. So when I knew that, I already knew that our audience are very intelligent. A lot of them are looking for opportunities. And State Farm was willing to invest money behind the educated people, which I knew I had, so they cut a check.
Wow.
And then when I kind of had a conversation post-event, explaining to them, finding out how it did for them, and they, I saw what the agents were doing, and again, they're corporate, so they do the textbook approach. And I saw that they were walking around with iPads. I'm like, yo, I'll be honest, you're not going to get my people like that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to stop because we've already gone through a security check. They're having fun. Nobody wants to go there and start typing in their email address and numbers at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the picnic. So when they told me they were getting about 250 sign-ups, I'm like, in 6 hours? Wow. I said, that's nothing. So I devised a plan for them the next year and said, look, Beyonce and Jay-Z were going on tour. If you really want to capture my audience, let's capture them prior to my event. Let's package a promotional event sponsored by us and you guys. And we did almost 1,800 signups.
Wow.
You know, and I was able to help target exactly the zip codes that they wanted. So it's not just anybody and anybody just signing up. Oh, they want Jersey. You want Philly, you want Chicago, you want Atlanta, you want New York. Sure. Each person I win, I can get them that they live in those markets. And they were so impressed.
Wow.
You know. So again, it's
That's
just
huge. That's huge.
it's just learning these things and really the best thing I think that for us we've learned is just paying attention because it's there. You watch, you listen, ask questions, and just observe. Like I go to other events and I'm just watching the different things people are doing and the activations. And sometimes I ask them just questions. So, how are you guys doing this? And I take that information and run with it. So it's done well.
That's crazy. So we're like just so much value here, man. Like you really got me thinking. After we turn these cameras off, we got to have a conversation. But so you're behind. Obviously, Atlantic Greek Picnic is a week out of the year. Like there's 51 more, right?
Right.
So you're behind some other projects too, right?
Yes.
Throughout the year.
So we're working on. We want to expand, and with that expansion, it's to do into other markets, other cities for Greek Picnics to help build it up and develop it. Because I think the biggest thing I keep saying is watching the trends. You have to stay ahead of the curve, otherwise you fall behind. And I've just noticed that now we're having events like Trap Karaoke that's touring the country. I've seen,
Trap Karaoke.
Trap Karaoke.
I heard of that.
Yes.
That's your company?
No, it's not.
Oh, I was about to say.
No.
You're a bad man.
No, they're doing it. So they're doing very well. And they took a very simple concept and they're taking it around the country and people are just loving it. Again, everything that I've said, they're implementing the same thing in what they're doing. And then you have events like that was Henny Palooza, that's big up north and they were touring. And they did not have a partnership. Hennessy was actually trying to sue them for helping them sell their product, which was insane.
That's crazy.
And then I believe Jay-Z heard about Henny Palooza and what Hennessy was doing, and guess what they did? Deuce Palooza. They just took it, and Cam and Chris, my frat brothers, they've been to AGP many times, and and whenever I see them, I'm just like, man, I love what y'all are doing, and so. We just realized that we're very big, in a very strong position with the Greek Picnic market, and we want to kind of jump into more markets and build it out. So again, we can have throughout the summer. These are our tour dates. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. So we're working on that for 2019. We own 2 markets. We haven't officially released them yet, but we own 2 markets right now that we're working on. So we're working on that. And then outside of that, I think some people know, but we need to work more on branding and pushing it. But we're very big into real estate. We have a company called Buy ATL Real Estate. Just because over the years, and this is another thing I think people should realize is because you're doing one thing, don't ignore a potential another stream of income. Yeah. And what happened, and this came about because when I was throwing my parties at House Nightclub, it was very upscale, so you're having all these. I remember Terrence J has been there, Idris Elba, Anthony David, Big Boy from Outkast, even dude from Belly, Ox. He was there. He's Jagged Edge Twins, Brandon. So we've got a lot of our events and parties where myself and Sean Black, we were throwing like the best upscale parties because Atlanta was going through a period where it's come as you are, big white tees and sneakers and gold grills, which is, I love those parties too, but I'm still like on the professional end. So we were just upscale. Even Hank, who, Mr. Hanky Beat, who's produced Lil Duval's.
Oh gosh.
That's when I met him. Same thing. So people are coming out, and then what started happening is I started meeting people, and I introduce myself to people and say, hey, one person asked me, hey, look, I love ATL. I'm thinking about buying a house and moving here. Oh, call my man. He's a realtor. Call him up. Here's his number. Right. The next week, I'm thinking about moving here. Tiwa, do you know anybody? Yeah, call my man. Then I was like, hold on a second. So I started doing the math.
Right.
How much money I just gave away.
Right.
And then I went ahead and got licensed. So we have a real estate license, and we've been selling to luckily for us, we have some very big high-end clientele. Not that we don't do, the great nice incomes as well, but we have some people that come in and they're buying properties cash, $500,000, $700,000, $1 million buying cash. Wow. So it's been a blessing because I just felt I left myself always open to doing more than just one. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm doing these big parties. No, like I need to, like Diddy and them have like these 10, 11 streams of income.
Yeah.
So if this one's bringing 100,000, you get your cool million, and then you continue investing yourself. So real estate is really big for us, and we're actually focusing more on developing and really continue just kind of, we like my I call him, he's like my mentor, he's my friend of mine. I went to school with him, and he introduced me to the company that we both joined as Obi, and he always says that it's not like, oh, I love real estate. It's not like I love, measuring the square footage of the house. It's like he just loves helping people get their home, and he enjoys the strategy of finding it and bidding and getting it paid for. And it's kind of the same thing with me. It's just now really enjoying because we're not building more planet Earth. Yeah, right. So it's get a piece of real estate. And to me, real estate is the best way to really build net worth, build your wealth. And, by the time you do get the opportunity to buy a home, it's great because you start to know that your money is going into equity rather than you're paying a lot, which is also great. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. If you own homes and you're renting to other people, that's passive income coming in. Yeah. So it works both ways, either ways. But our real estate company, Buy ATL Real Estate, we're definitely pushing that really out. And then my next thing is also, again, like I said, the personal business development. I just feel it's one of my duties in life as I want to say that I was pretty much blessed and lucky that the light bulb went out for me early because I was slowly on the path, even though coming from a Nigerian background, but I'd been, in boarding school in England for a while, then moved to America, and I was in college. And in college, they drum in your ear, get ready to work for somebody, go and get a job, and what's your career path? And I remember every time going to the career center, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to work for somebody else. I don't want to. I
don't know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want to do.
Exactly. Right. I know what I don't want to do. And that was just the defining moments that the opportunity to host events and plan them, and you could actually make, like, it got to the point where I started making so much cash that, again, the stigma is, don't deposit all that money in the bank. The government's going to wonder where you got it from. But when my banker, Maurice Sims, said to me, he said, but you're legit, so why are you worried? Right. So it's that mentality, and that was a bad stigma for people people were reinforcing that because you dropped $5,000, and then they look, my banker told me, he said, man, that's no money. Like, some people come here and drop $250,000 cash. Then if you don't have a paper trail, then, the bank starts to go up. So I got comfortable, knowing that, okay, if we're making this amount, $10,000, $20,000 cash that you have on hand, put into your account. Because what it starts to do, your bank is seeing that you're having your cash flow is coming in. Like, okay, you're consistent. Guess what they started to do? So come on in, let's talk to you about this line of credit. Because you've got some good money, which shows you have the ability to repay is good. Oh, what needs do you have? Do you need an equipment loan? We got great low percentage. Oh, your credit is great. Have you thought about buying a house? Everything starts to work in your favor. And that's what happened. Again, part of that whole, like I said, personal business development is going these experiences to teach other people because it's not being taught. Right. Nobody's teaching us this in school. Nobody's, even sometimes these business seminars that people go, they don't tell you this. Because it's not about just, okay, you have a product, it's great, but how do you get your line of credit? How do you get it? How do you secure, what do you know, if you didn't get it, how do you build yourself to get your business line of credit? Or how do you get your credit fixed by yourself where you're not paying somebody to have all your personal information? And you kind of leave yourself exposed. Not to say that they're not some legit ones, but it's risky.
Right.
So these things are just, part of what I feel that I have to give back to, the world for just being blessed to be able to be in this position and working for self and continue to build and having the free time to do a lot more other things. But, to me, I still feel, regardless, 14 years in this business, anything, I'm still very young and I still feel like I'm just getting started. I haven't scratched the surface here, even though despite the features like Ed Black Enterprise and rolling out on Forbes Africa, I always reiterate, we haven't started yet. We're just getting started. So It's, and now the great thing about, I'm sure you two know this is, as we're building this business, is you stop thinking of 1 week, 2 weeks. You're not thinking, okay, your 1 year, your 6 months, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20-year plan. And what can you do while you're still making money to reinvest? And especially as entrepreneurs, is to build the next generation. Because we know what it is like now. You're here in your building and you achieve this, but it'll be amazing if you can help another 100 plus people like you to get this. And they're not running competition, because guess what? There's 7-10 million people here. You can't take everybody.
Yeah.
They can't take everybody. So it now builds a bigger network. It's like Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines doesn't own all those planes,
right,
but they have networks,
yeah,
and they share revenue. So Delta is always happy when you take a flight from here to Nigeria and from Nigeria to South Africa, and they partner with that ride, they get a piece of that money, and there's 50 planes going back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole purpose of this thing, is to help change the mentality and the stigma of our people and others, and just understanding, and also to go global. Like, in this day and age, in 21st century, don't be a local zip code hero.
Right. Right. And I think some people are like so comfortable in that. It's crazy.
It is insane to me, and they, I just see some people like they're just so comfortable just being just that local dude in ATL, and I'm like, bro, if you cannot go to another country and somebody yells your name, nobody knows you.
You go to another country and nobody yells your name.
Nobody knows, like, and not, I'm not bragging about it, but these things have happened to me, and it lets me know. I remember when Social Media Week brought me as a speaker, I think in 2014. Myself, Lovey, and Sheree, we spoke at Social Media. We had the biggest turnouts. Over 450 people came. And even like people that had been following on social media for years came and said, I just had to come and hear you guys speak. So it's just one of these things. I just feel like it's our duty as entrepreneurs and business owners, and who are being blessed to have a level of success, to continue to educate those behind us, because nobody's teaching that. And if we don't take the responsibility to teach, and I tell people, like, I always have to stress to people, like, invest in these classes. If they say it's $50, $100, invest in it, because it's the best investment you can give, rather than always looking to, I want to pick your brain over lunch. No, pay, how much is it? Ask, because I'm telling you, the one thing you're going to gain is that you're going to get 10 times that value, because one, you've respected that person's time to say, okay, how much is it for an hour? It's $200, I'll write you a check. Because now, guess what he's going to do? He's going to give you 3 hours worth of time of value, because you've now, you valued his time and paid him for it. And now, guess what? When you call next time, he's going to take your phone. Rather than next time, he's going to send you the voicemail. So that's just a lot of things that, what I've learned, I want to kind of teach others and pass on.
That's dope. Well, the world needs it. Tiwa, man, I appreciate you coming by. And I got to do this at the end of all my interviews. I like to make predictions.
Yes.
I want to know where you're going to be in 5 years. I want to be able to hear it. So you say it today, and then I hold this footage 5 years, and I say, oh shoot, he did say he was going to be the mayor of Atlanta. So what are your Tiwa predictions for yourself?
5 years from now is, I know definitely the Greek picnic is still going to be going strong. We're going to be pushing and doing a lot globally, and I'm very big in having a school. And for some reason, I just fall into politics. I like politics.
So you're going to get into politics?
You never know, but I support a lot of people. Just because when you own a platform and you influence so many people, you have to be involved in politics. You have to be, because, and again, the thing I think with the Greek picnic is we have people from all kinds of backgrounds, religions, and ethnicities. So politics has to play a conversation, because it's part of our daily lives. Who are the people we're electing as leaders to kind of construct our daily lives of policies and laws? So you have to be involved. You have to be actively talking and asking questions. Like now we have Democratic elect governor running for governor, Stacey Abrams. You have to ask questions. I've gone to events she's hosted. I've hosted at my event, and let people be able to hear and ask questions, because with the way America and the world is turning, if you take a back seat and ignore it, people are going to make decisions for you that don't benefit you in any form or fashion. So, and the one thing I do like over time I've been seeing is a lot of people, from people I know and people I don't know, are running for office because they have the audacity to feel like they can make a change.
Yeah.
And they are more open-minded to, they're more exposed to people that are from here, people who moved here, people who are international citizens. They matter. They add to the economic impact of this state or country. Yeah. So how can you vote and make policies that affect them negatively? Doesn't make sense. This is not, the racist 1920s, even though racism is still here, but we have to be more socially conscious and politically conscious. So politics plays a big part. I never know, I might run, but definitely we have a book, like maybe my third or fourth book in 5 years by then. I'm working on one, so the book will be there. And obviously, I have 2 boys, and in 5 years, they will be, they will be like 15 and 11. So we'll see. I'm a baseball dad, so we'll see how it goes. And building, kid generation and business owners. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Man, I appreciate you. Listen, y'all are going to see so much more of Tiwa, okay? Listen, I'm about to do my best to make sure he comes from behind the curtain, okay? So right now, how can people find you? How can people follow you and be in tune?
So people can find me. I'm very big on social media at TiwaWorks, TiwaWorks. I literally use every platform from LinkedIn to Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, Snapchat. Name is very consistent at TiwaWorks, and then from there you can find everything else that we do.
If you're trying to buy a house, what if I'm trying to
invest? Hey, there you go. At TiwaWorks, Buy Atlanta, ATL Green Picnic. There's AB Tour for the All Black Party in Nigeria. There's cultured gear for the clothing line. We have the African bags and hats and culture, just everything. And
we'd be here 3 more hours talking about all his business.
That's why I only wanted to touch the stuff that's consistent. Where you have so much going on, but again, you'll be doing yourself a disservice if you only stick to one thing. You have to continue to expand out and monetize everything you can get.
Oh, no doubt. I appreciate you, my brother, and hopefully in 5 years,
you
know what I'm saying? Everybody's watching this.
No, but it's funny because before we go, we've known each other for well over 5 years.
Yeah.
From, I think the time I ran into you at the mall and you saw your stall and just seeing you around town. And then now, we actually made an effort to say, you know what, we have to stay in touch better than we've done in the past. And we've done a pretty good job so far.
Absolutely. Hey, watch, I'm telling y'all, y'all see he talking entrepreneurship. That's my language.
That's it.
So listen, we got some stuff coming for y'all, man. So make sure y'all follow my boy and tune in next week or next time. I don't know how often this joint's gonna be. I don't got a name. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, but I love it though. I'll be back though. I
yes,
like
sir.
this.
My man.